Okay, coming into cutting out your leaf bowls, all right? You can, if you want, just very loosely kind of draw out what shape you want your bowl to be. If you don't like that, smooth it over. Try something different, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and go with this. I'm kind of digging this shape. It's kind of a kidney bean sort of thing. Again, bowls do not have to be round, okay? Everybody says, oh, it's a cereal bowl, it has to be round. No, we're not making cereal bowls for the most part, okay? Oops. Uh-oh, got a little bit on there. Maybe I can roll that or smooth that out a little bit. There we go, don't want that dent in there. And if you do make a dent, just smooth it over, okay? And then we're gonna go ahead and take our bowl, peel this up. Careful you don't let it sit on the table for too long because it'll get wet on there, okay? And then I've got my water and my paper, newspaper. We want to go ahead and get this nice and wet. Should have grabbed a bigger bowl for that, but that's okay. And then we're going to basically use the same technique we use for paper mache, okay? Get our newspaper nice and wet. That way it's nice and malleable. It'll stretch and conform to the shape of the bowl. And we only need one layer of newspaper. We just need something that's going to separate the clay from the plastic bowl that we've got here. The plastic and clay, if you ever used that before, you know that clay will stick to that plastic. It'll be really difficult to separate, especially if the clay is a little on the wet side, which my clay happens to be. And so if that's the case, then it makes it a lot more difficult to work with, at least as far as getting it off of there when we get done. All right, last one, that should do it. There we go, all right. And then what I usually do is, because I've got these little parts that are sticking up like that, I'll just use my hand to kind of smooth it around. If it doesn't cover every little square inch, I think there's one little spot here where I can see that orange bowl showing through. Not the end of the world. All right, so I've got my bowl, okay? I've got my slab here. I'm noticing I've got a couple little marks here that I'm not too thrilled with. So I may just go ahead and trim those away. There we go. That looks a little better. Make sure this is nice and smooth. There. And I don't really have an idea in mind of what the shape of my little bowl is gonna be. It's just kind of letting it happen, all right? Don't be afraid to just kind of let things happen, all right? Take my leaves and I'm gonna place these down, okay? Just like this. And I'm kind of looking to see where this fits. I've got a little bit more overhang on this side than I do on this side, so I'm gonna kind of center that around there, and then I'm gonna stretch the clay to fit around the bowl. Now, when you've got a flat surface and trying to put it on a round surface, if you squeeze these two sides, notice that this lifts. And if I push these two sides in, then that side lifts. So what you have to do is you have to kind of stretch the clay and force it to conform to the shape of the bowl. Okay, so you might get some stretch marks, you might get a little bit of cracking, whatever. If that happens, just take a little bit of water in your fingers and smooth those in just so that we don't have those cracks showing, and that should help it. But we are putting the clay under quite a bit of stress by stretching it and forcing it to a flat object go over a round object, okay? I'm realizing this kind of has a Mickey Mouse kind of vibe going to it. Did not do that on purpose, but that's just kind of the way it ended up. All right, and there we go, okay? Now, as I'm attaching the feet on this, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on the bowl. That way it will give me a lot more resistance. So as I press into this, score, slip, and smooth those feet onto the bottom of it, that's gonna give me a lot more strength to, or it's gonna give it a lot more firmness so that it doesn't flatten out. If I were to take the bowl out of there, it would just collapse because the clay's too soft at this point, okay? Attaching feet, that'll be in the next one.